It's hard to be certain, and scammers are taking full advantage of this. With a growing number of scammers impersonating large financial institutions, it's important to consider whether the voice on the other end of the phone is there to help you or scam you. Welcome to Scam Spot. Here you can see my face, and that counts for a lot. But many interactions with your bank will be via the phone, email or SMS, interactions you are right to be wary of. In a world where personal information is getting less and less personal, it can feel quite normal to get a call from a seemingly trusted bank and have your personal information recited to you. But here's where it can go wrong. Scammers of late are targeting victims by impersonating banks, warning customers their funds are at risk, and in order to keep them safe, the customer needs to transfer their money to a new account, strangely often at a completely different bank. The scammers will go the extra mile by using spoofing software to make it appear as though the call or text is coming from your bank, and your phone will slide the message in line with previous genuine messages from the bank, making them seem legitimate. The scammer's goal is to get you to make payments willingly from your account. Here are a few tips to avoid falling for this scam. 1. Beware when a bank unexpectedly contacts you. If you do receive a cold call, get the reference number, hang up, and call back on an independently sourced number. All credible organisations welcome this level of customer caution. 2. Don't immediately respond if the banker requests you to urgently action something. If you're asked to complete an action while on the phone, it's very likely dodgy. 3. Banks do not require you to move money to keep it safe, and especially not to an account at a different bank. 4. Anyone sharing your personal information with you to gain your trust or requesting you to read out security codes or passwords is likely scamming you. Hang up on them. The information is likely being fraudulently obtained. If you are ever unlucky enough to experience fraud, banks may call and ask you to choose a new password or get you to delete any viruses on your device. All other security steps will be undertaken by the bank, including securing your funds and sending you a new card. The bank will not ask you to transfer your funds elsewhere. Knowing who you are dealing with online or on the phone is tough, and it's worth taking a minute to call back and confirm. It could save you a world of trouble.
These videos, by the way, they're all from Westpac, as you saw, but there's a whole series of them. All you need to do is go to YouTube and just Google Westpac videos. There's a whole series of them, and they're quite excellent, aren't they?
I spent all the week on them.
Yeah, I know. I know more about scams. Anyway, I just want to move on here. Everyone knows about the mum scam. Yeah? Now this, Matthew talked about phone porting. I don't mean to get technical here. I'm sure, where's he gone? Where's Dimitri gone? I don't want to get too technical, but there's two things. There's phone porting, when somebody actually takes over your phone. That's what Matthew was talking about. But there's also this phone spoofing. It's a lovely word, isn't it? But phone spoofing is where, in fact, they just take over your number. Your phone, say somebody spoofed my phone. I've still got my phone, but you've got my phone number. So you can use my phone number and pretend that you're somebody, like my daughter. That's the mum scam. And because it's within the actual phone number, you get a phone number with your daughter's name. Now, this video I'm going to show you is really quite terrifying, and it's where scams are probably going. And we're showing you. We've debated about whether we should show you this video because it might worry you. But it's best to be worried and to know what might be available. And we'll tell you how to handle it too. So this is an American video. Everything happens in American, but anyway, this is an American video. He's going to talk for a minute about 7 scams. Don't worry, we're not going to cover 7 scams. We just got to go through a little bit of an intro.
Well, it's time again for the video that I unfortunately have to make every year with the latest scams, whether they're brand new scams or scams that are becoming newly popular. This time I have 7 new scams to talk about, and some of them are very clever, and of course the best way to protect against them is to simply know about them, so make sure you pay attention and watch all the way through. So, let's get into it. Starting off with number 1, we have a scam called virtual kidnapping, which I think is one of the most evil scams I've heard about in a long time. It probably deserves its own video, but here's the basics. How this scam works is a victim will receive a phone call that appears to be from a family member, but it's actually a scammer who has spoofed that family member's phone number. And then the scammer will actually pretend to have kidnapped that family member or friend. So when you go to pick up, they'll say, I have your mom hostage, or whatever family member, and they'll usually have an accomplice in the background who is screaming or yelling or crying and making fake noises to make you think that that's your family member and that they stole their phone and are calling you from them and demanding payment, or else they're gonna hurt them. So it's pretty evil. Sometimes the scammer will actually look on social media and try to find people who are on vacation, because probably this person told their family members that they're going on vacation, so they might be more likely to believe that they were kidnapped while traveling. A lot of families worry when someone goes out of the country, for example, anyway. But believe it or not, it actually gets worse, because these days the technology exists to actually clone someone's voice using just a few seconds of audio sample, and there have been cases where a scammer uses this technology to clone someone's voice and call family members pretending to be them. So the family member will get a spoof phone call appearing to come from this person, appearing to be this person on the phone talking and asking for the person to send money because whatever crisis is going on. Maybe they're saying I'm kidnapped, or maybe they're saying I'm in jail and I need bail, whatever reason. And I think as this technology becomes more accessible, it'll become more common. So you want to know about this ahead of time. However, even if this happens to you and you know it's almost certainly a scam, but you want to be sure just in case, there's several telltale signs that it is a scam. One thing is that if you demand verification or proof of life or something, the scammer will probably just make more threats and deny you to do that. So if you say, send a picture of this person or something like that, they'll probably just say, no, if you don't send the money right now, I'm gonna hurt them even more, or something like that. They'll just outright refuse, even though it's probably in their best interest, if this was really the case, to actually prove that they have what they say they do. And also, they will go to great lengths to get you to not hang up the phone, because they know that if you actually text the person back at the number that they're spoofing or call them back, they're not gonna get the phone call. The real person is, and then they'll immediately be able to know that it was a scam. So if you say something like, well, I'm gonna hang up and call back to make sure you actually have the phone, they are gonna give you every reason why you should not do that and that you'll regret it if you do, and that sort of thing. So one thing you could try if you really are not sure if this is the real deal, you could send a text message to this person who is supposedly calling you and say, I just sent you a text message, what does it say? And if this person on the other line, who supposedly has that phone, can't tell you what the text message is, because they obviously wouldn't receive it because it was spoofed, then you know it's a scam, 100%. Or you can even say something like, hey, I'll pay you triple if I'm able to hang up and call you back and you pick up. And even though that seems like a great deal, they still won't do it. They'll say, no, you better not hang up, whatever excuse. The thing with all these types of scams is they want you to pay, they want you to pay immediately, and they want you to not have a chance to verify anything. Now, one thing to note is if you're on a landline, be careful if you go to hang up and then try to call back, because there's actually a lot of phone companies where if you hang up and the other person doesn't, it will actually keep the line connected. So when you go to pick up the phone again after hanging up, you may still be talking to that scammer. This is actually the basis of another type of scam called a delayed disconnect scam. I did make a video about it in the past, so I'll have that pop out. So if you're on a cell phone, you don't have to worry about this, but just be aware of it. So anyway, to sum this up, if you get a phone call from supposedly a friend or family's number and it is some hostage taker or even appears to be the person themselves talking, but they're asking for money, be extremely suspicious and maybe verify using another method. Maybe call them from another phone or have some kind of password set up in case of emergency, something like that. All right, now before we continue, I want to give a big thanks to today's sponsor, Guardio, which is relevant to this video. Guardio is a browser extension that provides real-time protection from all sorts of threats while browsing the web. For example,
finish it there. So, Lisa, you were nodding there.
I was nodding.
Yeah.
I was interested in that video about the virtual kidnapping because it was on my list and I didn't get to talk about it, but it's happening in Victoria. A little bit different and perhaps even more heinous than that. The ones that we've seen where they contact the victim and basically say, you know, like you're going to get charged or arrested or something, or for some reason they've got to pay money somewhere and that person doesn't have the money to pay, and you know the offender will make maybe if you call mum or dad, they might give you the money, and actually convince the first caller, the victim, to call their own parents and say, I'm kidnapped, send the money, and actually go into hiding, because the offenders tell them, go into hiding, don't answer any other calls from your friends or family, because then they'll know you're okay. So until they give you the money, you just need to not answer them. And we've actually had examples of people going overseas to hide out, and then our problem is we actually can't contact the original victim, and we have to investigate that as a live kidnapping until we can locate that original person who's actually themselves telling their own family, no, I've been kidnapped, you need to supply this money. So in some ways it's simpler and less tech savvy than what you've just seen on the video, but it is actually a real thing that's only come up probably in the last 12 months. It may have happened in the past, but certainly in Victoria, we were getting notifications of these in the last 12 to 18 months, and trying to get ourselves up to speed on how it's happening. So yeah, it's certainly...
I've been surprised how many young girls go overseas on their own.
I go overseas on my own. Well, I haven't, not yet, but...
I suppose like all these things, I mean, when you just got to not panic. I mean, it's totally understandable that you would if you got a phone call, but it's probably a scam, and I don't know how we handle it really, but if it happens, and I hope it never happens to any of you or me for that matter, don't assume it's real. Try and step back if that's possible, and try and follow some of those steps. And I hope it never happens.
Or ring Jeff.
Yeah, ring me. There's one other. We talked about the fake email scam. I've got another very quick little video. This is happening all the time here now. There's a famous the Bowls Club, Tacoma Golf Club. I think lost $100,000 because they paid an invoice that had been doctored. So they can intercept your emails. They can intercept if you just get a bill with PDF on it. They can change the BSB. They can change the so your money goes to a different bank account. This particular Dandenong Golf Bowls Club paid the invoice, $100,000, and a few weeks later the poor old tradie says, where's my money? Because of course the money had been paid, but it had gone to somebody else's bank account. There's nothing you can do about it other than, as I think it was Colin said, ring the person. It was always, if you get a bill over your phone nowadays, or by email or a PDF, you've got to check the BSB with the supplier. There's no other option. I mean, it's stupid, isn't it? We have to do it. But this is a very quick video.
You're about to pay a deposit on a new house. You receive an email from a familiar address, your solicitor, and you triple check that the amount, BSB and account number are correct. This is the biggest payment you've ever made, and you don't want to make a typo and pay the wrong person. All correct? Pay. You didn't make a typo, but you did pay the wrong person. The thing is, you may have been sent the wrong details to begin with, and that large sum has now gone to a scammer. Welcome to Scam Spot. Business email compromise scams or payment redirection scams happen when a recipient receives a legitimate-looking email requesting a payment to a new or updated account details. In 2022, these scams saw Australians lose a total of $224 million. So how does it work? You might receive an email from a supplier or a known contact requesting payment of an invoice, such as a house deposit. Scammers hack email systems all the time. It's a lot easier than hacking into someone's internet banking. A scammer gets into the system of a business, intercepts the email requesting the payment, and makes changes. The letterhead is correct, the business name and email address remain the same, but it's a totally new BSB and account number. They've set a trap for the victim to pay them directly into the rogue account. This scam is perpetrated against all businesses, but it is particularly effective in businesses that receive large one-off payments from individuals, like paying a conveyancer a house deposit, or paying a builder for renovations. And don't let the name fool you, business email compromise isn't just for businesses. This is perhaps the hardest scam to spot of all, since it's a bill you expected to pay anyway, and victims can lose millions in a single transaction. Here are a few tips to avoid falling for the trap. Verify any banking information verbally when you receive requests for new, urgent or redirected payments, and ensure you verify through a phone number you have sourced yourself. Don't call a number that's provided to you within the email or on the invoice. Request to pay your supplies using a Pay ID. Pay ID displays the registered payee name, so if it's not your intended recipient, you will know. Use multi-factor authentication and dual payment approvals where available. If you are a small business, make sure your email servers are secured with two-factor authentication to avoid people hacking into your email and sending out fake invoices. It's also crucial to ensure that staff are well trained and know not to click on any strange emails that come in. It's important to remember that any form of electronic communication can be hacked. Being aware that scams can come from seemingly trusted sources can save you a whole world of trouble.
They're very good emails, aren't they? Shocking. Yes. I'm just going to very quickly wrap up some of the golden rules to avoid the 8 golden rules. I think our friends from Cyber CX have given us some more complicated ones than these ones, but which are probably more than essential. But these are the basic things that the 8 golden rules as I see it. Be alert, always be on guard. It's so easy, isn't it? I mean, it's so easy to get taken in. We all do it. We all think. You've got to be on guard the whole time. You've got to believe everything is a scam. And it's so sad, but that's the fact of life today. Don't assume the website, brochure, phone caller, texter, emailer is genuine. You've got to assume everyone's a fraud. Isn't it terrible? That's the world today. You can't believe a thing. Do not, you all know this, I'm sure, but I bet you do. I bet you click on links. I do, still. I did one today, actually. but because you're not thinking about it. It seems so genuine, doesn't it? And you're expecting a parcel. And an email arrives saying there's a parcel. So you're expecting one, so you click on it. Well, don't. You just can't. You just can't afford to. Do not call phone numbers in text. That's what the point on that video. A lot of the people will get a text and there's a phone number on it, and so they'll use that phone number. That's a scam number, not the real number. You've got to look it up separately and by finding somebody said a piece of an invoice or something. Know who you're dealing with. That's again an obvious thing. If you know who you're dealing with, okay, but you've got to really know who you're dealing with before you. But this is particularly true with shopping scams. You go onto these websites and think, oh, I'd like to buy that, and who knows whether it's genuine or not. It's best not to buy it, I think. So I don't buy much.
He looks at Mary. He looks at Mary.
Don't give out your personal information. It's I'm afraid that's how it happened, didn't it, Lorraine? You mustn't give out your personal information to somebody over the phone. That was being covered. Again, shopping scams, this is very real in shopping scams to use Bitcoin, and on social media scams to use Bitcoin. So if they're asking for Bitcoin, probably it's a scam. We've had that too. Daniel went through that. But I didn't know actually. Dimitri, our wizard, the computer man, told me that you can actually get virus controls on the phone. I didn't know that. Did you know that? I didn't know that. I know you have virus protection on a computer, but you can actually have it on your phone as well. But Dimitri says that you don't get that many viruses on the phone, right, Dimitri?
Not really, no.
No. But if you download an app, you told me this the other day, if you download an app, one of these obscure apps, it just might have a virus in it, mightn't it? Is that right?
Well, it might have some malicious component there, just stealing.
A malicious component. So beware when you download apps. Probably the ones from Apple are okay, I suppose. Are they? More or less. The point is you don't know, do you? But the obscure ones. You've always covered that. Use complex passwords and change them regularly. But I'm guilty of that. I have to say my phone password. Not to say it was my bank one. So right, finished. Right, that was Daniel's advice. Thank you, Phil. Thank you very much. Over to you. Yeah. Dimitri, come up here now. No, Phil is going to do the panel now. This is where it's over to you. This is Dimitri. I've already introduced Dimitri. If you ever want anything fixed on your computer, here's your man. He's absolutely brilliant. He told me that he he made 3 computers in about 1980 or something, didn't you? Yeah. Of course he did.
Soldered apart from microchips.
But yeah, just solder a few microchips, use the TV set as the body set. Yes, so that
We don't use his surname because we can't pronounce it.
So, all the other gentlemen.
So we get the panel to come out, bring a chair with you.
For your chair,
Just go along
million
front here.
grants.
And we've got roving mics, haven't we?
And their own chair.
Yes, we've got roving mics.
Okay, here's probably the best part of the evening, we think. Apart from speakers. Some people have got to go, that's good. We're aiming to finish by 8:15 because we have to be out of here. We're going well, it's only 20 to 8. But it depends on how much comment we get and what questions we get. But take this off, we can pass it around. So now the floor is yours. So let's see what interest we can generate. Were you going to interview Lorraine?